day, everybody. This is Joe Sonona with Sonona Speaks Seminars, and this is Coffee Talk with the Listing Pros in Real Estate. And my guest this week is Matthew Sandrowicz. How are you doing, Matt?
Good. How are you, Joe? Hi, everybody.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in real estate in this little crazy game of ours.
So I actually did not, I don't want to say I didn't intentionally get involved in it. Basically, I had gotten laid off. I was in banking for a very long time. I got laid off and I was looking for a job, and an agent was having a new agent open house, and they contacted me on LinkedIn. So I was like, oh, let me go see what it's all about. So I went, I was like, it seems interesting. It seemed like a lot of fun. It was something different than what I was used to and what I was doing for so many years. And I happened to know somebody who is an agent as well. So I contacted her and just to get her opinion on, what she thought and whatnot. And she had me come down and speak to her own manager as well, too. And being I was laid off and had the time, I decided I was like, what the heck? So I went and took the course, passed the test, and then went and took the state exam and passed that test, and here we are today.
And here you are today. So tell me, what is the secret sauce to listing properties for you?
Luckily for me, it's been a lot of referral from former coworkers, actually. Friends of mine, and also just, friends of their friends, hey, I know somebody in real estate. I've actually gotten a few referrals out of, from classmates, actually, from high school.
Nice.
I just kept in touch with on Facebook or social media, whatever the case is. And they've said, hey, I gave my coworker your name because I know you're in real estate. And that was the good thing, like, especially with my high school, I went to, Kellenberg, and the alumni network there is truly amazing, and so they a lot of us network each other constantly. So it's actually a really nice thing.
That's great. That's great. Do you use special? So your secret sauce is really a sphere of influence. So you gather listings from that sphere of influence.
A lot of it has been that, yes.
That's awesome.
I mean, I still go out and, I'll prospect, I'll cold call. I'm the crazy guy that you see walking around the street sometimes, knocking on doors. But
how has it been for you during this pandemic about cold calling? A lot of agents, we can't cold call at all. And how has it been for you as a lister? I know what it's been like for me, but I just always like to get second opinions and really try to find out if other people are doing anything other than spheres of influence.
A lot of it, especially during COVID, has been sphere of influence, quite honestly. And then just following up with people that I was in contact with, and people fall off your radar periodically. These things happen where you just go through your old contacts, even people that you've already sold a home to, and how is everything going, check up on them, and sometimes you get stuff in through there too, and be like, hey, everything's great, by the way, my neighbor wants to buy a home, or whatever the case may be. So a lot of it's been a sphere of influence, though.
A lot of the people I talk to in other states, yet until September 7th, right? But what do you think this whole process of being in quarantine and then being allowed to be essential, going to work, going to a real estate office, what do you think it has taught us about, prospecting in general? Do we really need that phone, or do we not need that phone?
I think you do. I definitely think you do. I'm a social butterfly, so for me, quarantine was like, there's only so many conversations you can have with, that you can have with your family and your pets before you start, before you start to lose your mind.
Wait, did the pets talk back to you?
Sometimes, I'll get a a woofer or a meow back, but that's usually because they want something. But
It's like, go to work already. I don't want to see your face every day.
well, the dog was thrilled. The cat, on the other hand, was like, God, he's still here. So
That's funny. That's awesome. Do you use any special technology when you when you market your homes? Do you do anything special for your listings that you could share?
well, so I'm part of a team, and we use a service that does like the Matterport, the 3D home tours.
Nice.
But a
Very
lot
nice.
of the stuff that we, depending on the listing, we either will take the pictures ourselves. Sometimes obviously the people who do the Matterport for us, depending on the type of listing and the level of it, we might increase the jazz, and then I guess you might say, and do other things like drone shots and stuff like that.
I like the Matterport because it can navigate us all through the house, and a lot of that was very popular while we were in quarantine because a lot of people were using virtual home tours. Do you think that they're going to still stay popular during this whole process? Do you think it won't go away? Right, it won't go away.
I don't think so, because you know what, too, the other thing with that, and any time you look at a listing, you can look at the pictures and it's like, but I think the Matterport gives you a little bit more of an in-depth, and gives you more of like you're in there feeling. So it kind of makes, I want to say, gives you a reassurance as to what you're looking at. So I think on the client side, it's something that is definitely a helpful product, and I think it'll definitely continue on, because some people are a little more nervous than others about going out and seeing homes, and even people who are selling their homes, some of them are a little more hesitant about, do we want people in the house? Do we want an open house or anything like that? So I think that something like that kind of helps to weed out people who are, it'll help to weed out the people who are less interested than not.
Right. That's what I use it for, because there's a lot of people. Let's face it. You go out for that Sunday afternoon drive. There's still people out there. I can't believe it. I used to think that I was the only one. Me and my mom and dad, we used to go see houses and just be nosy. We were never planning on buying a home, but we would go on a Sunday afternoon. I remember my sister and I would be in the back car, and I'm really like, why are we going in here? I'm thinking to myself, and I don't know what my parents were thinking. They were just being nosy, and they would never buy a home. And you still see those same type of people in an open house on a Sunday afternoon. It's incredible. It's an absolutely incredible.
So you were that person.
I was that person. Yeah, I was that guy. Yeah. Well, actually, it wasn't me. It was my parents. So I can blame them. But but there's still some people that do that today, and that's why I guess Matterport was kind of weeding out those people, and it still continues to weed out people that are just curious. And you got to be very careful with Matterport, because as I tell my homeowners, you have to prepare for that by taking off your personal pictures. Some lady had in Rockville Center, I remember going on a listing presentation. She had, and she signed up with me, and she said, all right, what do I do? I said, well, you got to take all your personal pictures, your grandchildren pictures down, and all these other stuff down. And then I noticed in the kitchen, there was a bulletin board with all her passwords.
Oh my God.
Every one of her banking accounts and passwords. And I was like, you got to take that down, period. Because I was like, wow, I could have built
they can do
$1 million,
They can do some blurring on that too. But still, it makes more sense to just take these things down, because if you're going to be selling your house, you're going to have to take it down anyway. So
yeah. Tell me, how long have you been in the business? How many years?
A year and a half.
That long, huh?
A year and a half.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you're a consummate professional. I see your name all over the place. I honestly thought you were like at least 5-10 years in already. So this is the end of your freshman year. What have you learned as a real estate agent This is a good question. What have you learned, being that you're a year and a half in as a lister? As a lister, sorry, let's keep
You
it.
know what? It's God. I've learned a lot of things.
I know I got you on the spot on that one.
You know, the
Well, as
best.
a lister, what have you learned as a listing agent, that what not to do? Let's start that way.
Well, obviously, I mean, you're just going to always be open and honest with your client as to what you feel is best for them, what's going to get them the best value and whatnot.
I say that's what to do, just to be clear.
And just
What
people
not
think
to do?
what not to do. Just don't be deceitful. I mean, this isn't. Our job is not. It's twofold. It's not difficult, but it is difficult in the same aspect. And it's just a lot of what we do, though, is also. I mean, it's just common sense things that.
Right.
But sometimes common sense isn't out there for everybody. But there's a question about it, but I can't remember what it is. But just be open and honest with your clients,
Right.
even if it's a client that you're helping to buy a home. Obviously, you just want to make sure that you're straightforward with them and you follow up with them, no matter how simple it is. People think that like it's always like the big things that like, oh my God, I need to follow up on that. But sometimes it's the little things that make a big difference in somebody's world. Just reminding them, hey, whatever. Did you take those pictures down that I told you before we did do the thing? And they're like, oh my God, no, I didn't do it.
What would be your advice to a new agent coming in? Being that you're going now into your second year,
Mm-hmm.
if a new agent came up to you and said, hey, Matt, can you have any advice for me? I mean, this is my first day starting in real estate. What would you tell that agent just starting out?
Don't give up. Your first year can, some people are very lucky where things, I'm going to say, fall into their lap, but not, statistically. I mean, like you did my LIBOR intro class.
New agent orientation.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. And I think what was it, 60 to 70% of new agents fail within the first 2 to 3 years. I think it was
87%.
okay.
Staggering statistic. I can't believe that, but we know why, right? We know why.
It's crazy, and it's a lot of work, and it can be very emotional sometimes too, because you put so much effort into what you're doing, and to get something, and like that, something can just fall right out of your hands, and by no fault of your own. It's just the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately.
Correct.
So it's just put your heart and soul into it, and believe in yourself, even when you're getting to the point where I just want to give up, because I got to that point a few times, and I was just like, but
what made you keep going?
I don't want to work for a company again. I worked for a corporation for 22 years, and not that it was a bad company. Actually, it was like 2 or 3 companies, and not that any of them were bad or anything like that. But you're dictated as to, how much you can make. If you receive a bonus, your bonus gets capped based on your salary level, based on your level in the company and whatnot. And
Right.
you still, not that I don't have to answer to anybody now, but you're running your own business. So what you do with it is yours. And it's more satisfying to be able to do that. And, honestly, let's face it, if I wanted to take a 3-week vacation, I could take a 3-week vacation. Whereas in the past, usually you were capped at like 2 weeks with any company or anything like that. So, I kind of fell into this, like I said. I wasn't looking for a job in real estate when I got laid off. I fell into it, and it was an awesome thing to fall into. So it's
So you've had a lot of interaction with a lot of agents like myself who've been in the business for so long, longer than you have, obviously, 5, 10, 15 years. What advice, just observing them, what advice do you have for them? Because you gave the best advice to a new agent, don't give up. What about for the one that's already in real estate that has been doing this for so long? And I know you wouldn't approach them and say, hey, you know what? I know you should be doing that. But if you had to, what would be the best advice you could give to a seasoned agent?
To always remember where they started from, because, and especially you can sometimes pick up on somebody who's a brand new agent as opposed to who's not a brand new agent. And sometimes they get a little, I'm going to say cocky maybe about, well, I've been doing this for 20 years. And it's like, well, that's great. I'm proud of you.
I hope I can't. I said that. I know I said that in the classroom. I've been doing this for 30 years, but I only say that for the experience,
Yeah. Just, remember where you came from and to always try and help people. And you know what? We all have bad days and whatnot, but and this goes beyond just other agents. This goes for the world in general. Just be nice to people.
Exactly. Nice to people. Exactly. And you and I have been talking.
Update your photo.
What?
Please. One of my biggest pet peeves is when you meet an agent and their photo on their business card or on any of their advertisements is like 20 years old.
No, it's their prom picture.
Yeah. Like, I'm not saying update it yearly. Like every 5 years, just update your photo.
Or if you don't want a photo on your business card, why put a prom picture or a photo that doesn't even look like you? Just take it off, and then give me the surprise then. But I actually had to do this. I had to look at the photo and I was like this.
Yeah.
At one point with one of my colleagues in the business. That is too funny. So remember where you come from and update your photo.
Yeah.
What we're in COVID-19. We're still working and living during this pandemic. Have there been any special things that you've been doing to ensure safety?
So obviously everybody's wearing a mask. Open houses, you're limiting the amount of people who come in at one time. Sanitizing too, wiping down surfaces as you go along. And that's even during a showing, when you're bringing somebody to a house to show. I feel like the germaphobe now because I walk around with this like jug of hand sanitizer. I'm like, you want some? Squirt, squirt. And then in my other hand is like, Clorox wipes. So, hey, you know what? I can get a job as a cleaning person next too.
That's true. I'll be on the third floor. You could be on the second floor, and one of our colleagues could be on the first floor.
And then obviously just practicing social distancing, and obviously you don't want to stand on top of them as they're there. So
right. Okay. And is there anything else that you have in your personal protection equipment, or is just what everybody else is doing?
Depending on what it is, sometimes, and I've done this actually, especially when you're showing like a foreclosure or something like that. I'll bring booties with me.
Yeah.
Just because I've been in some interesting homes where before COVID, I was like, I got out and I literally sprayed hand sanitizer on my shoes. That's how bad this house was. But gloves on.
I once went into a house that had fleas, and you could actually see the fleas jumping up and down. And this lady says, "Come on in. Would you like a cup of coffee?" And I'm, no. And I got to tell you, when I left and my customers left, we had bites on our legs.
Oh God!
And we were wearing long pants.
Oh,
that's how bad it was. Because she was, I remember at the time she was a pet groomer. So she had all this stuff in the house, and she would groom the pets in her house. It was just awful, just awful.
Sounds like she needed a flea balm.
She needed the whole house needed to be flea bombed, and that's what my client did. They got themselves a hell of a deal, and back then, and but we all got bitten by fleas.
Oh God.
The day of the closing was gross. The day of the closing, we did a walkthrough, and that was one of the worst walkthroughs that I ever had. You know, so I agree. Back then, we should have worn booties. I don't know. We should have sprayed ourselves. I mean, I don't know what else to do other than wearing a bubble.
What started the booties with me was I was showing the house was abandoned and there was a hole in the attic window. And when we got up to the second floor, the entire second floor and staircase into the attic was covered with bird poop.
Oh, God.
So after that, I was like, never again.
See, people don't believe these stories, and this is why Coffee Talk exists, because when we want to list people's houses, we want to make sure that it's prepared to sell, not prepared to throw up.
Yeah.
You know, we want people to come into your houses, and we want them to take away the focus from the obvious. You know, the obvious is being that the things that we don't want to show, like somebody has a dog or a cat. I don't know if they smell the pets, you know, the odor, but I smell it when I come in, and so does the customer, and the customer doesn't want to see anything else because they're focused on the stink, for example. And I don't care how much apple baked cinnamon go in the oven you're going to put, nothing can camouflage cat pee or dog poop or whatever dog smell, wet dog. And I remind this of people, you know, that some sort of, you know, pre-staging is necessary for listings. You agree that? You've been in the business now to know that.
Yep, absolutely.
Do you use any pre-staging skills now that you've been in the business? Do you use a stager, for example?
The only time I ever really have ever used a stager is if it's when they're like if it's a flip property with some of the investors that we work with. We'll stage them then, but generally no. You know, I'll usually go through the house, just, you know, always tell them, make sure you depersonalize, declutter, take as much away as possible. You know, make sure you want to kind of have it as blank of a palette as possible, so this way somebody can walk into the house and be like, "Ooh, I can put this here," or "Ooh, I can do that," or they might see something at the homeowner has and be like, "Hey, I like that there. You know, we could do the same thing," or something to that effect.
And some people just, you know, they don't understand that a nice bouquet of fresh flowers, a nice scent as you walk in, goes a long way to helping them sell the house. A lot of people don't realize that, you know, a little movement of the furniture, you know, put the chair this way as opposed to that way, you know, turn the angles, you know, this feng shui kind of feeling, this feng shui kind of look. And that's really what goes into listing in pre-listing, and then pricing it, of course, very well to sell. How you been busy? Have you been selling a lot after quarantine?
Yeah, I honestly think most weeks I probably put in on a slow day 8 hours. But most of the time I've been going over. But you know, the phone doesn't stop ringing, and I mean it's a great thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad I'm busy. But it's just, you know, after a while it's a little wearing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and all of us are busy. And what I'm tired of seeing on social media is agents posting that the market is hot. You know, because the market is moving, the market is rapid. You know, the inventory is depleting in areas, and there's a lot of demand. But I wouldn't call it hot as an adjective, because I feel that, you know, kind of that's like a little deceiving to the public, that they could actually get more and above and over the asking and over the asking, like big pie in the sky numbers. If you get over the asking price and you got a bidding war on a house, that's awesome. That's wonderful. You're very lucky. But other areas don't have that going on in their towns. So when we put out that perception that the market is hot, and we keep saying that, all we're doing is giving out the wrong perception to the owners. Do you agree with that statement, or am I making that up as I go along? Because I'm not.
No, I do agree with you. I think, though, honestly, I think it affects people looking to buy more, because it's just, I mean, I've have clients that I've been working with now for, and I'm going to say this and it's not going to sound right, but longer than I should have been.
Right.
Just because they can't, either they find something and by the time you put an offer in, it's already got an accepted offer, or
Right.
Again, bidding wars start going on and stuff like that. So I think for the buyer, it's a little bit more of a word that we should probably steer clear of. I mean, yeah, for the seller too as well. But
yeah. And for the seller, obviously we want to get them the market value of their home. If we get them a little bit over market value, then we've done more than our job, right? But when we actively go out there and put out a perception that the market is super duper hot, then the seller is going to say, okay, then I want, instead of $450,000 for market value, I want $650,000. Now we've overpriced the house. And
now you're doing
then it stays on the market for more than 90 days. And then the seller says, but you said the market was hot. See, and that's what I'm trying to avoid of any lister out there who's even seeing this today, because we're not doing our jobs effectively as real estate agents. So that leads us to fiduciary responsibilities.
Just real quickly, though.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
If you have priced the house accordingly, in this market, that house should move.
True.
And obviously, we want to do what we can for our client and what's best for them. But when the other thing too is when they want more for it, and to your point where maybe you say, oh, it's worth about $450. Well, I want $480, and they insist on listing it $480, and then wondering why they're not getting any bites on it.
See, I would stay away as a listing agent from those types of sellers until I follow up with them and say, okay, now you can get the price. Now you can put that house on the market. But if you're going to put it on today and we're going to watch the days on the market together go longer and longer, then we're wasting each other's time and effort here to try to get that one buyer. I worked with a broker once that told me, God isn't creating this buyer for you. He or she is too busy. And and my broker would make that statement to people, and people would just look at her, but she had a point. And the point was, don't overprice your home. Price it to sell. And, I understand when people say, well, Joe, I don't want to give it away.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can't give it away. I can't even sell it at this point. I'm not giving it away. I don't give anything away, but I can't sell this product, this home of yours, because we overpriced it to begin with, because it was your suggestion, not mine. Mine was looking at the comparable sales, looking at the movement, looking at the infrastructure, looking at the market cap. I work like yourself, Matt, with fiduciary responsibilities, and we work under the guidance of our foundation called Law of Agency, obedience, loyalty, disclosure, confidentiality, accountability, and reasonable care. Which one, Matthew, is your favorite and why? That's how we're going to end this program.
I would have to say disclosure, probably. Obedience has never been a word in my vocabulary. Ask my mother that one.
Matthew, eat your vegetables.
No,
Mom, in full disclosure, they suck. No, I'm only kidding. Is that why it's that way?
well, you know what it is? I mean, and anybody who knows me well and knows me on a, you know, you don't even have to know me on a personal level. If you worked with me long enough, most people will tell you that like what you see is what you get with me, and I'm just honest with you about it. I'm not going to sit there and you know sugarcoat something for you. I'm not Willy Wonka, so you know.
That's
You know,
great. That's great.
it's just and this is something that you know even in my previous career where you know you would have customers, hey, you know, if you waive those fees for me, I'll take care of you, and it's like
Mm.
yeah, you know, it's just it's not worth it in the end. It's not right, number one, and number two, it's just not worth it in the end to risk your career, or then in this case career slash license and fines and
Sure,
all that
sure.
stuff. And
So
you
full
know,
disclosure is your mantra.
absolutely.
It's great. It's great. Listen, this has been an awesome interview. I want to thank you for being on my show. We're out of time, but you can catch Coffee Talk here on Facebook at Sonona Speak Seminars every Friday. And we've just been putting out a weekend segment where a lot of you have been asking me to put out the weekend watch party. So, Matt, you'll be on a watch party when this airs. And I hope that you get a lot of business from showing this off, because people want to know who's authentic out there, who's being a professional, who's being a listing pro in real estate. So I want to thank you for being on this program, and I look forward to our next chat.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Joe.
Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.